Google's trying to get out of a massive lawsuit from consumers who allege that the company is illegally spying on them through their Google Home devices. But the company suffered a serious setback when a judge refused to force the plaintiffs into arbitration. Look, how many times have we talked about this? The Rumba, all of these access points that social media has. Is there any question in your mind? If you go to go home and you tell your wife, you know, I really want a new Chevrolet, that you'll be covered up with Chevrolet ads within 5 minutes. Okay, you can't look at that and say there's not a problem here. People are listening, and then that material can be sold to other sources. Yep. It's just that one conversation, just the edge of that conversation can be sold to thousands of different places, both con men and straight, business people, but it's just got to be stopped.
Right, and sometimes it is harmless. Like you say, if I start talking about Chevrolet, I'm going to get ads on my social media, but also a week or two down the road, I'm going to get a flyer from my local Chevrolet dealer because they buy that data. And okay, that's annoying, but it's harmless to a degree. But what happened in this Google case, and this is why the judge told Google, you're not escaping trial. Yeah. This case was being kind of litigated for 4 years. 4 years. Google was letting this happen. They were having hearings, filing motions.
Even after it happened, nothing changed, though, right. Even after the lawsuit.
But right. And so Google finally, after 4 years, they say, hey, judge, they can't even sue us because we got to go to arbitration because that was part of the agreement. And the judge essentially laughed it out of court, saying, you've had 4 years. You've wasted your money, You've wasted their money, you've wasted these lawyers' times now telling us that we're going to arbitration. Hell no. You're going to take this to trial. And I will say, right now the plaintiffs do have an uphill battle.
Because it is totally an uphill battle.
You got to prove that Google's devices were listening to you.
Correct. And
that Google knew it and did nothing about it. You got to prove the intent.
The new norm, as you know, I handle cases bigger than that.
Yeah.
And of course, the new norm is to destroy all. If you have documents, you can prove intent. You can just the indicia. You put the documents together, the emails, the whatever that took place in private meetings, and you have plenty of information to show that yes, they had a plan. Yes, they knew they were going to make money by getting that information and selling it to somebody else. The problem is that now the whole idea is destroy documents. They're destroying documents as quickly as they generate them right now. There's some companies that if I email you and I say, look, we got a problem in Toledo, our company's killing people in Toledo, that will be gone in a nanosecond. Okay, so they've got it down to a whole science. But when I first started doing these huge cases, all the way back to tobacco, actually asbestos, we could tell what the company was doing by looking at their emails and but they've just gotten to the point to where it's automatic destruction. To prove the kind of intent you're talking about is difficult.
Yeah, absolutely, especially for a company like Google that obviously is very tech savvy, so they don't have to waste a lot of time. So unfortunately, again, for these plaintiffs, it doesn't matter how good your lawyers are, and they do have some good lawyers on this case.
Yeah, they do.
It's just the fact that Google is not necessarily sloppy. Mm-hmm. So I don't think they're going to leave these kind of things lying around with memos printed out saying, hey, we're spying on people, and that's hilarious.
One place you get that's interesting, most of the time I get my information from third parties, okay? They may be a subcontractor. They may be somebody not directly associated with the company who doesn't destroy it.
Yeah.
And that's where you end up getting these great bits of information about what the company was up to. But in this case, the other part of it is arbitration. Wow, what a scam, huh? What a scam. And we used to talk about this when the first idea of arbitration started. It was driven by the Chamber of Commerce. It was driven by Associated Industry. Let's take the courtroom away from the plaintiff. Let's take the courtroom away from the claimant where a jury never hears this. Instead, they bring in these cats that are part of corporate. I mean, they're just raised with corporate. All they know is corporate. And most of the time, they have some association with the very corporation they're trying to arbitrate for.
Yeah, absolutely. And, if you sign up for a new cell phone service, if you go buy a car, if you basically are signing any kind of contract, buying a house, you're signing an arbitration agreement. Mm-hmm. And they'll quickly say, okay, and here's your this arbitration agreement.
And everybody just, sure.
Yep, because you've already signed 800 things. You're just ready to get out of there with your car or your new keys.
Yeah.
And so you're signing these things. If you're watching this, you've signed one of these, and you probably don't
dozens
even realize
of them.
it. Yeah.
Dozens, just like going on the internet, we have to tag some. You hit a check mark here as arbitration. Judges are starting to say, we're going to go to court. Several members of Biden's White House advance team have resigned following an investigation into complaints of verbal harassment and abuse of the staff. You know, this story's been kicking around a long time. And the first time I read it, I go, yeah, people are just so sensitive. But then, you know, it's these these blasts of GD and Fs, you know, the whole F slinging around. And you go, well, maybe there's something to this. Maybe there's something to this. You know, he's old, he's tired, he doesn't want to have any kind of resistance. I think the first time I saw it was when they said to him, you know, you're getting your ass kicked. You know, and the polls are killing you. He went crazy, right? Yeah. What do you think of the story?
Well, and in this particular case, we're finding out like, yeah, okay, well, we know Biden, he's got a temper behind the scenes, and we've seen that throughout his career. But this one is actually goes even deeper into the staff, into this weird, what's called the advance team, which is made up of both White House staffers and campaign staffers. It's where they strategize on what he's going to do in the office versus what he's going to do on the campaign. So what we found out through an investigation, I mean, the which office was it here? The White House counsel's office had to investigate because they were
required to investigate.
Yeah, because they got so many complaints from these staffers saying that their supervisors, led by a man by the name of Ian Malol, he was not physically abusing them, but abusing his position, screaming at them, telling them, if you don't do what I say, I'm going to ruin your life, making them go pick up his dry cleaning and running his personal errands, according to this report. So he resigned before the investigation could go too deep. But this is what bothers me so much about Washington, D.C., because it's not just about the dysfunction. It is these people. You got two separate kinds of people that get into work as staffers for members of Congress or for the president. You've got the people that, for some reason, think they're going to make a difference, and those are the hopeful, optimistic, they will be crushed soon enough. But then you have these power-hungry little freaks like this guy who go in there, they get on this power trip, and they say, well, I'm in charge of 5 people, so obviously I am the king of this castle. Go get my dry cleaning. You go get me coffee. I am the king of the Biden White House.
Isn't the Biden White House the kinder, gentler White? I mean, wasn't that supposed to be the deal?
You know, see, that's the thing is it never actually works out that way because you have too many of these power-hungry weirdos that latch themselves on to the Democrats. They latch on to the Republicans. And they help destroy things from the inside out.
Republicans just as bad. I mean, it is. You hit it on the head. It is this power trip, right? They really think that what they do really matters. They really think that what they're set out to do is going to have a big impact. Most of the time has zero impact. But the criticism where you see with Biden, I mean, the first time I saw it, I think, was the Anita Hill hearings.
Yeah.
I saw a side, I'm going, what the hell? You know, him attacking this woman who has been, Clarence Thomas had clearly victimized this woman. There wasn't a story here that she's making up. And Biden jumps on the train. Anita Hill this, Anita Hill that, basically stands up and starts making these speeches about how awful she is.
Yeah.
She was just there trying to protect herself and trying to tell the story that Clarence Thomas was making all kinds of advances to her. I've never seen anything like it. But then I think he disappeared at that point. But now you're hearing these stories again, and it's not just him, it's his entire staff that you're hearing stuff like that.
You see the dysfunction decaying the administration from the inside out.
Yeah.
And that is one thing, like, look, we get it. These people, especially he's old, he's crotchety, he's mad sometimes, and sometimes he's eating ice cream and he's happy. But if you can't get good enough people in your, as your staffers, then you're going to have this dysfunction. And we saw it a lot, and I talked about it a lot during the Trump administration. That's when things boil over and it becomes a massive story. And it's because you picked bad people. You did this. You're ultimately responsible.
It all flows from the top.
Yeah.
It all flows from the top.
And we just don't have people in D.C., again, left or right, that are picking good enough staffers to keep things running.
Yeah.
And
Well,
they
they
do
don't-
think they're too important to.
Yeah, they don't pay him anything. They have a sense of importance. They're in a bubble that is so weird where they really do believe that what they do really does matter. And they're just passing through, and this was awful during the Trump administration too. We did a story on this on the Trump administration.
Yeah.
It was the same kind of thing. I mean, all the way from Trump down to his staff, just absolutely abusing people as if this is the new norm. Feed him more ice cream. Maybe that's going to help. Thank you for joining me.
Thank you.
That's all for this week, but all these segments are going to be posted right here on this channel in the coming weeks, so make sure you're subscribed. I'm Mike Papantonio, and this has been America's Lawyer, where we tell you stories that the corporate media won't tell you because their advertisers won't let them tell the stories. Advertisers are going to say, I'm going to pull our money if you tell this story. Or their political connections are so Democrat or so Republican that they can't color outside the lines at all. As you can tell, we don't have that problem around here. We'll always color outside the lines and call balls and strikes. Hopefully we'll see you next time.
Ring of Fire founder and host of America's Lawyer, Mike Papantonio, has a new book, came out this week, called Suspicious Activity. Like his other books before it, this book actually deals with real legal cases that Mike Papantonio has handled, but in a fictionalized way. The book follows the character of Nick Dichotomous that Papantonio first introduced in his book Law and Disorder, and it carries on the story that began in Law and Disorder through Law and Vengeance, Law and Addiction, Inhuman Trafficking, and now Suspicious Activity. This book in particular deals with the financial institutions that have helped launder money for terrorist organizations, which of course is a topic we have covered extensively here on Ring of Fire. So, if you're a follower of Mike Papantonio's books, or if this is your first one, you can get your copy of Suspicious Activity now. Just go to MikePapantonio.com and place your order. And if you haven't already, check out Mike's other books, also available on MikePapantonio.com.